Not quite, just wait, hold, because of the delay. And okay, David, you're good.
All right. Welcome everybody to the United Political Action Committee's Zoom meeting with all of our at-large candidates. We had 13 candidates that have put their name in the hat for the at-large, 11 of which are here tonight. I'd like to introduce them to you. We have Deanna Michelle King, Myron Grossman, Mike Posley, Michael Hunter, Liz Perez, John Martinez, Larry White, Brian Rosas, Patricia Noyola, John Garcia, and Frank how do you say your last name, Frank? Arriaga. Frank Arriaga. Got it. Frank Arriaga. I'd also like to introduce our IUPAC board for 2020. We have myself, David Heitzman, and the president. We have Ryan Pendergraft, who is the vice president. Bob Paulson, who's on the screen, is our treasurer. Dan Brown, who's on the screen, is our secretary. So he's taking all the notes tonight, handwriting down the entire thing today. We have Brent Work, Carter Tate, Dan Harrington, Linda Walsh, who can't be here tonight, Nick Colosi, Dr. Nick, you're there, Suzanne Guggenheim, and Debbie Noble. Debbie is here, and she'll be monitoring our YouTube and Facebook to make sure everything is running properly. Alex Karras is our technical advisor, who has been very helpful in making sure everything is streaming properly. So I want to remind everybody at home that voting for the IUPAC candidates, we want you to, it starts yesterday, and it'll go through Monday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. And we want all of you to make sure you get out and vote. So please, 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 if you haven't registered for voting for your candidates, please check with the IUPAC website at islandunitedpac.com or our Facebook page for instructions on what you need to do to vote. You can also email us at islandunitedpac@gmail.com. And we encourage you, all of you that are watching, please make your voices heard. These candidates work hard to get their name out there and to let you know what they stand for. So please vote. We are going to be using we're going to be using the instant runoff voting. I'm not going into that today, but there are the instructions about it and information about it is on the website. So please go look at it, make sure you understand it so you understand how you can vote. Tonight will be a question and answer session. It's consisting of about 6 questions drawn from a pool of over 50 questions that we've had. And I think that actually increased today. We had several additional questions that were brought forth to us. Bob Paulson and I and the rest of the committee have been looking at these questions, and we picked those that we think best serves both the island as well as Mustang Island, as well as the Corpus Christi in general. So you'll be asked a series of questions. Bob will provide an amount of time for each question, and I have the distinct duty of being the timekeeper. That means that when you get to a point where your time is getting close, you'll see a couple of things that pop up. One will say 30 seconds, one will say 15 seconds. I try to make sure you can see this. I'll wave it a little bit. If I can kind of tell that you're getting close to your close, you won't see it. Just understand that your time will be up. We're usually giving about 1 to 2 minutes per question, and Bob's very good at letting everybody know what that timing will be. So Bob Paulson will be acting as your mediator tonight. He'll randomly select candidates. So there's no particular order. He has randomly assigned numbers to each one of you, and he'll explain all that, and he'll provide you with the time frame. I hope this didn't distract you with me flashing that. I don't want to do that. So if I can tell that you're closing, I won't do it. I don't want to distract you. Bottom left hand of your screen you'll see the mute button for yourself. If you're talking as a candidate, please unmute your button. When you're done talking, please mute it. Alex and I will try to pay attention, and if we see that you haven't remuted it, we'll do that for you. When you're in speaker view, what happens is on the screen that you're watching, it'll pop up. So if, for example, last night, I think Bob had a couple of times he ruffled some papers and he was the actual speaker. So we're trying to make sure we can avoid that as much as we can. On the top hand right of your screen, you're going to see options for speaker view as well as gallery view. You can choose which one you'd like. If gallery view will let you see everyone, speaker view will let you see just the person speaking at the time. So with that, does anybody have any questions about how we're going to operate this tonight? I promise you it's not going to be like last night. Bob has total control. All right, with that, I'm going to turn this over to Bob Paulson. Bob will give his introduction and talk about a little housekeeping, and then we'll get started.
Great. Thanks, David. And good evening, everybody. Like David mentioned, we're going to be working through a round of questions. There are going to be 6 tonight. The answer period we're going to give you is 2 minutes. There's one question where we're going to drop it down to 1 minute to kind of keep us on time. What I did was each of you was assigned a number, and then I ran a series of random number sequences from 1 to 13. For those candidates who aren't here, we'll skip over them, and we will just proceed at random. I will call you out when it's your turn to speak on a particular question. The questions should be pretty easy to remember. I'll try to give you a prompt if the 1 or 2 that are maybe a little bit more involved. And if you have any questions, just if you would like to be reminded and I don't do it, just please let me know. All right, so we'll get started. And so this will be a 2 minutes per candidate. And we're going to start with Liz Perez. And this is, as you might expect, the introduction and what motivated you to run for office.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank you for having all of us here today. My name is Liz Perez, and I'm running for City Council at large. What motivated me to run is my own personal passion and love of the city of Corpus Christi, along with my girls. I have 3 small girls. My oldest is 7. And I just feel like Corpus, I see a vision for Corpus, and I see the potential that Corpus has to grow. And I want to help mold and shape that. So that way it'll be a city that my daughters can be proud of and have some Corpus Christi pride. I want that for everybody. I want everybody to feel a sense of pride and happiness in this community. Not everybody will always be 100% happy with our community, but I want to help try. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And next will be Brian Rosas. What's motivated you to run for office?
Hello, good afternoon, I guess. First, I'd like to say thank you for having me. The IUPAC out here at the island. I took off my tie because I didn't want it cut off. So one of the first things that motivated me was I am born and raised here in Corpus Christi. And I was just trying to do the right thing for Corpus Christi by running and serving my city the best of my ability, especially in the public sector. I feel that everyone is expected to pay 100% taxes, and it's important you get city services at 100%. When I was a kid, I always loved going to the island, so I think it's very dear to me in the fact that it is a gem here in Corpus Christi, and I think it's important that we continue to prosper and move forward as a city so that we could definitely get the progress going that we have done in the past. So again, I'm born and raised here. My education is here. I went to school here at TAMU CC, where I graduated with a bachelor's and then on off to a master's, where I got a counseling degree here at TAMU CC. So I'm a proud of Corpus Christi, and I'm hoping that by us doing our service here on council, that we could definitely keep people here so they can born and raised just like I was.
All right, thank you. Michael Hunter, if you would please, what is motivating you to run for re-election?
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Hunter, and I'm running for city council because I love this city. I'm born and raised here, and gosh, a whole bunch of reasons. We just want to see this city reach its peak. I went to King High School, then I went to Trinity University, graduated at Texas A&M Corpus Christi with my master's as soon as I came home. I actually started helping out on the island. As you see back here, I got my no tie zone given to me by John White, who's AKA the godfather of the island. This was the first one I received when I got home for helping out with the Padre Island Business Association. The island has always been one of the greatest places to go in Corpus Christi. The beaches there are beautiful, and there are many, many fond childhood memories of it. We want to keep it a gem. We want to make sure that it continues to prosper. And that's one of the reasons why I am proud to say that I supported the final beginning construction / votes for Park Road 22 Bridge, which was promised to you so many years ago. So thank y'all for having me, and really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Larry White, you're next, please. And you're muted.
There we
There
go.
you go.
Thank you. Got to learn the hard way. Larry White, I'm lived in Corpus Christi for 35 years. Corpus Christi is my home. I am married. I have 2 stepkids and 5 grandkids that I don't get to see very much because of this COVID stuff. I'm a retired chemical engineer with over 40 years experience in industry, particularly dealing with projects, and we got a lot of projects going on in Corpus. I have a strong background in environmental. They talk about the impact of the Corpus Christi Bay and estuaries. I have a lot of experience in that area as an environmental engineer is my background. But not all my background is technical, although I'm really into the engineering stuff. I've been on the Corpus Christi Ethics Commission, which gave me an insight as to what goes on at City Hall. I'm a member of the Veterans Band of Corpus Christi. I was a buckerator and helped with the parade. And I also was a volunteer for Kairos Outside, which helps women who have loved ones in prison. And that was a real education or enlightenment of how some people unfortunately live in our community. I found it very enlightening. I'm running because I've seen, I'm going to get streets. I knew 19 years ago we were going to have trouble 15 or 20 today with streets, because I talked to the city engineer who was in charge of streets 19 years ago. I knew we were going to have something happen with our sewer system, knew that 3 years ago, and now we have this bad, this intense EPA consent decree that is going to have a major impact on our sewer bills. I see that coming. And these are the reasons I know I can help out with my background to help expedite making Corpus Christi a better place to live.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for joining us tonight. Next, Patricia Pena Noyola. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes,
and why you want to run.
Okay. So my name is Patricia Pena Noyola. I am a mother of 5 daughters and also a small business owner in the financial service industry. I help people plan for their retirement, and I help people with the federal government plan for their retirement as well. What motivated me to run for city council? 2 things. Like I said, I'm a mother of 5 daughters. My oldest one is a recent Baylor graduate and currently working on her master's degree at Baylor. My other 4 plan on attending Baylor. The main reason is my daughter wants to stay in Corpus, and she's going to be getting married soon, and her fiance wants to come to Corpus, and he's also a double major from Baylor. There's not enough work for people that do have this upper level of achievement in the fields that they are in. So I worry that they're going to have to leave and find some employment somewhere else. The other reason for me running is I have 4 other daughters, and the objective is to be the example for our youth, so that our youth can pursue an avenue in public service and do what they can to help the community that they were brought up in. I went to Moody High School, graduated in 1985, and I also noticed as I was putting signs up that there are a lot of our neighborhood streets that have been neglected with existing work orders that have not been followed up with. And so while we're working on all of our major streets on Ocean Drive and all of the streets that make our city look beautiful, we're neglecting the streets that belong to the citizens of Corpus Christi, and we're just leaving them with a whole lot of potholes. So those are my motivation for running, and I am number 10 on the ballot, and I ask for your help and your support. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for joining us. John Garcia, you are next, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm done. First of all, I want to thank the IUPAC for hosting this forum. Something different this year on Zoom. I'm John Garcia, running for City Council at large, and I'm number 13 on the ballot. And I'm in the tourism industry. I've been in the tourism industry over 20 years, which, you know, the island is a big, huge attraction this year due to the COVID. We have so many people coming from all around Texas to the coast, and it's a big draw this year because of COVID. So I think without the island, I don't know where Corpus Christi would be right now regarding occupancy for our hotels and, you know, restaurants being busy and gas stations being busy as well. So the island is a huge, big attraction and an important part to the tourism industry. Also, I'm a community leader. I'm president of the West Side Business Association, board of director for the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce, and been involved in other organizations as well. And then also, too, I'm a small business owner. I'm the organizer and the creator of all the Corpus Christi food truck festivals, which we've had for the past 5 years. In 2017, we were on the island, and that one was a huge success at Slitterbond. I don't know if y'all remember that. That one was an amazing turnout, and we'll be back soon again to the island, hoping 2021 we'll be back. And I have a lot to bring to the table as me being a small business owner, community leader, and being in the tourism industry. I think just with all my background, everything put together, I think I have a lot to give back to the community and be there for the citizens of Corpus Christi, but plus also help our small businesses due to the COVID-19. That's one thing that I think everyone locally and nationally has seen, you know, big, huge hit with that. I think we need to reevaluate our health department and see what we could do better and be prepared for if anything were to happen again in the near future. I think locally, you know, we need to be better prepared. And I've lost close family and loved ones to the COVID-19. And I think that's one thing that is a very big top priority as the street repairs, COVID-19, reevaluating our health department, and affordable housing and public safety, keeping our seniors, our veterans, our citizens safe, and then also to all our visitors that come to Corpus Christi and visit our beautiful city and go to the island and enjoy our beautiful beaches as well. I'm John Garcia, City Council at large, number 13 on the ballot, and I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, John. All right, Frank Arriaga, you are next.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Frank Arriaga, Jr., candidate for City Council at large. I'd like to thank the Island United PAC for putting this on and everybody who's watching. I am not somebody who comes to visit here. I am somebody that lives here. I am your island candidate. I live on Tesoro Drive, and I'm looking forward to working for all of Corpus Christi. I was born and raised in Corpus Christi, Texas. I graduated from W.B. Ray High School, class of 2003. I've been in small business development for 17 years. I'm also a small business owner. We own the Corpus Christi Food and Wine Festival with a couple of partners here locally. Through that work, I've been able to contribute. We've been able to contribute some money to locally owned nonprofits, and it's just part of something that we believe is important in reinvesting in our community. I am a bonus dad. I live on the island with my love, Lisbeth Vest, and we've got two boys, Ari and Nico, 7 and 4. Ari's in 2nd grade at Flower Bluff. And they're a big reason for why I'm in this race. I've been a volunteer locally for 17 years, working with high school leadership in high school leadership development capacities. I worked with the best and brightest students that Corpus Christi has had to offer in the past 2 decades. And we've brought many of them back here to the community by introducing them to many of the issues here and helping to sharpen their tools, their essential tool skills that help them, become better leaders and develop an interest in wanting to give back to the community. So I've been selling Corpus Christi to our youth for years, and we've been doing it successfully. We want our kids to live here. We want our grandkids to live here. We don't want to have to travel outside of Corpus Christi. And that's why I'm running. I want to be somebody that helps us make good ideas. We need new blood. We need fresh energy. We need somebody to help us keep the momentum going. There's a lot of good things going on here in the community. We have some major decisions ahead of us that are going to significantly impact the direction of our economic development. And as far as our infrastructure is concerned, it's all tied together. And so I'm going to fight for the taxpayer of Corpus Christi as somebody that's new, never having been a candidate for office before. My special interest is a taxpayer dollar. I humbly ask for your support on October 13th when early voting begins. If not, we'll see you on November 3rd, and we appreciate and value your support.
Thank you very much, Frank. And thanks for joining us. Deanna Michelle King.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. You're up. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to run for office.
Yes, my name is Deanna Michelle King, and I'm number 13 on the ballot for City Council at large. And the main reason why I'm running is because I'm a Corpus Christi native as well. I have a lot of family that lives here. I've had people that have moved out of town, relatives, and they've come back pre-COVID, and they say our town has changed. And our town hasn't changed for the better is what I hear from them. And so the 3 issues I would like to tackle is, of course, everybody knows is our streets. Our streets, I don't know how many times we have voted for taxpayers voted to raise their taxes for the streets are getting fixed, and they're just now getting fixed. And we need to do things in a timely manner. And we have people who are homeless. That's another problem. It seems like some parts of Corpus Christi say, well, if they're not on my side, then I'm fine. But that's another reason why I'm running for city council at large, is because I care about the whole city and not just parts of the city. I could have just ran for my district, but I thought that Corpus Christi as a whole needs to be improved. And so I'm willing to reach out to the county officials if I'm elected and see what we can do about getting a place where they can be treated. For the homeless, they have underlying issues that need to be addressed. Some have substance abuse issues, some have mental health issues, and they just need to be addressed. I mean, we can find all kinds of places around Corpus Christi to have them there, and so they can be treated. We can have mental expert health professionals to help them. And they want to be normal just like us. They just need some help. And the third issue, which is a big issue right now, is our water supply. We just got sued by the EPA for having inadequate water supplies. We've had so many water boils that I can't even, keep track of. We haven't had any lately, but we shouldn't be getting sued by the EPA. These are the things that are what we need to address here in Corpus Christi. And lastly, I have a fourth one, jobs. If you're not in the oil field, if you're not an oil field worker, you don't make a whole bunch of money. And that means you have to go somewhere else to work. So I want to bring things to Corpus Christi where people can actually work here in Corpus Christi and make a, decent living wage. And so, like I said, my name is Deanna Michelle King, and I'm number 13 on the ballot. And I appreciate y'all inviting me to this forum.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. John Martinez, you are next.
Thank you. I think that you're going to find that a lot of us are running for the same reasons, right? I mean, we ultimately want to make Corpus Christi a better place to be. And by better, I mean, we want to feel safe. We want to have a place where there are things to do. We want to have good streets so that when we go places, we don't have potholes and things like that we're running into, or never-ending construction going on. I think all of us share that we want to have Corpus Christi prosper and be better. But what differentiates us is how we're going to get those things done. It's great to have ideas, but how are we going to make those ideas a reality? Over the last 15 years, I've served in many different capacities trying to understand Corpus Christi and the issues that we have. I was in leadership Corpus Christi back in 1999, 2000. I served on the Crime Control and Prevention District Board of Directors in 2005. I was elected judge in Nueces County Court at Law number 3 in 2006, and I served until 2012. After that, more recently, I've been involved as the chairman of the Nueces County Hospital District Board of Directors. All of these different organizations have given me a different perspective and insight into the city that is unique and that a lot of other people don't have. I've seen the issues with crime that we have. I've worked with the police. I've seen the issues that we have with mental health here locally and our indigent health care, things like that. Being involved with the hospital district, especially this past year with COVID and everything that's come, we've had crisis after crisis that have arisen. And I've seen how a good group of individuals can come up with a solution that seems impossible at first. I've seen how different groups can come together to come up with solutions. And I've seen that lacking in our city. I've seen people working in silos where everybody's working on the same problem, but separate. If we're going to resolve the problems, if we're going to take care of the issues, we need to work together. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to jump in at this time, is because we've been missing that. And I believe that as a city council member, I can help to facilitate those talks with other groups and other organizations to move our city forward, to come up with the best solutions, the most effectively and most efficiently that we can.
All right. Well, great. Thank you very much. And thanks for joining us this evening. And Mike Pusley, guess who's next? You, sir. Thanks for joining us. And let's know a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to run for city council at large.
Well, thank you, Bob. And thank you everyone for hosting this afternoon. My name is Mike Pusley. I'm number 2 on the ballot, and I'm an at-large candidate. There are several of us. And please remember, you're going to have to go way down the ballot to find us this year. We're going to be pretty close to the bottom. Quite simply, my reasons for running for city council are the fact that I want to make this a better place for everyone to live. The city has a number of challenges before it and things that we're going to need to work on to make sure that we can move this city forward. One of the most important things that we need to do is make sure we're doing everything we can to help the areas in and around Padre Island reach their full potential. We have a lot of great projects going on the island, but we've got a lot of great projects in store, and we need to make sure we're doing everything we can as a city to help those projects get funded and get started and get going. And we've got our water exchange bridge that's going to get going. It only took 16 years to get that done, and that's unacceptable, guys. We need to do a better job. When we find things that need to be done, we need to make a full court press and make sure those things happen. I visited Packery Channel here recently. We've got some real issues at Packery Channel, and we need to make that a top priority as a city of Corpus Christi. We need to talk to our legislators, our congressmen, our senators, and try to come up with the funding. There's obviously going to have to be a local component for the funding, and we need to start working on that now so we can help put that together. I think that's an excellent opportunity for us to join with the county, the Port of Corpus Christi, and some of the other taxing entities to help put our local component for the funding together. But those are just an example of some of the things that the city of Corpus Christi needs to do to help Padre Island continue to grow. I learned one thing as county commissioner here in Nueces County. Every dollar that we invested in Padre Island came back to us tenfold. It is a revenue generating engine, and we need to take every opportunity we can to make sure we're continuing to feed that revenue engine. So thank you very much again. I was almost born on Padre Island. My dad was on his way overseas to participate in the Korean conflict, and I was born at the Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi. So I've been here my entire life. This is my home. I have 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren, and I have a vested interest in making sure this community grows and prospers. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, and thanks for joining us tonight. Well, a lot of you actually touched on the topic of the next question, and actually it's going to be a 2-part question. You know, you've all expressed a desire, a love of Corpus Christi and a desire to make it really not just a better place, but the best place that it can be. And as many of you mentioned, and we certainly agree with you out here on the island is a big component of that. So in the next round, in this next question, you know, what is your, some of you have already touched on this in your opening comments, but if you did not, what is your vision for Padre Island and Mustang Island in this vision of the Corpus Christi of the future, you know, the great city? And what is the one thing that you want to achieve in your first term that will have a positive impact on the islands? All right, so again, if you talked about this during the first question, you don't have to repeat all that. You can get into kind of what you think the most important thing is that you want to achieve that will have the positive impact to make the island fit the role that you see for it in the city. All right, so starting us off, it will be Brian Rosas. 2 minutes.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me better now. Apparently I was breaking up a lot. First and foremost, I would have to say, proudly endorsed by the CCPOA, my first agenda would be to get more officers to the island. I think that's very important. Public safety, we've talked about, the infrastructure, of course. And of course, we're gonna need a viable source of water at some point. You guys pay the highest taxes there, and it contributes substantially to our tourism dollars. So I think it's important that we do have some kind of plan in place. It is still one of the cheaper places to get waterfront property there on the island in the country. Not the cheapest, but one of the cheapest places in the country. And it's important to me so that you guys know that you have someone up there. I'm one of the only other city council member that has been on the council and knows how to get things done. I would prioritize the spending within the budget to make sure we get those things accomplished. I know that you've had the repaving done of Whitecap a couple of times. It's got to be frustrating. I think it's important that we somehow revamp that to get it done right the first time. So I do have to dedicate myself in saying that public safety, and of course, you know, the gem out there of being on the island, I think is important, that because of your tourism attraction you bring and the dollars you bring in, I think it's important that we have you on the top priority list, especially paying taxes as much as you do. Again, these officers would need to be appointed there. So I think it's important you have more people out on the island so that safety, so that those walks at night or wherever at any time become a place for everyone, kids, grandkids, and wives, of course. The short-term rentals, I know, is another thing, and I know there'll be some packages coming up as far as monies that needed to, and of course, now that we got the bridge going, I think it's a good thing, but I think it's important as on that the steam momentum as far as keeping the island prosperous like it has been for many years.
Fantastic, thank you.
John
Garcia, you're next.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I had to unmute
Yes.
myself. My vision, you know, for the island, you know, me being in the tourism industry, like I referenced earlier, this year due to COVID, the coast, you know, of course, you know, with the North Padre Island beaches are a huge, big attraction this year because families could save so much money versus going to Fiesta Texas or Disney World Here, they just pay their little permit and they go in with their coolers, barbecue pits, and the kids go make sandcastles, go collect seashells, go to our beaches basically for free, which the families save so much money. But of course, stay in hotels, go shopping, put gas in the gas stations, but the vision, I think, for North Padre Island beaches from now till for forever are going to be huge, because the COVID-19 has really changed a lot of things in the world, and the beaches are going to play a big important part from now going forward. Of course, like I referenced, tourism is a big, huge part for Corpus Christi. It's the economic backbone of the city. We bring people from all around the world that come and enjoy our attractions and our beautiful beaches here in Corpus Christi. A big priority as well is keeping our beaches clean, very clean. I know we do have visitors that come in and make mess, and we have to go out there and get groups to pick up after them. But keeping the beaches clean, and then also a big, huge part, for the island will be the safety for the island residents and the visitors that come to our beautiful beaches here in Corpus Christi. But the island, like I referenced earlier, again, I think without the island, the tourism industry here in Corpus Christi, I don't know where we would be. The COVID has really changed a lot of things for us, but as of right now, the beaches are a big, huge, important part for our city, bringing in people from all around the state of Texas, and of course, all around the world, just to get away from their homes that haven't been out in months. And we've seen people from basically all parts of Texas and all around the United States who have driven down to Corpus Christi to go fishing and enjoy our beaches.
All right, thank you very much. Liz Perez, you're next.
All right. For the island, I agree. I think with everybody that the island is a gem. It's definitely something that we want to continue to support and take care of. I would like to focus on infrastructure, and that encompasses everything. That doesn't just encompass or just involve streets, but also our water lines and our sewers. For the island specifically, though, I would definitely continue to help see the Park Road 22 bridge project through to completion. I also want to help shift focus back to repairing the Packery Channel jetties. I feel that is definitely a project where you can go across lines and ask for, help from county officials, state officials, to see where we can definitely secure funding to get those repairs made. It's definitely a great family attraction. I think we all agree that it's something that we want to continue to support, and talk with our island residents and make sure that we're always on the same page and continue to support not just the things that make the island beautiful for tourism, but also to address issues for the residents who live there and who experience it day to day. So that does include public safety, law enforcement, code enforcement as well. So that's the part of the vision I have for the island. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Larry White, you are next, sir.
Got me unmuted. On a vision for the island, I want to go back with this COVID. My wife and I, we took off for a weekend and spent a few days at a resort on Padre Island. And it was really nice, a nice getaway. And I could see from that experience, there's a lot of room and a lot of opportunity for development up there for tourism, or expand tourism. I'm really into industry because I'm an engineer, but I also recognize an economy needs to be diverse. And so we also need a strong tourist industry, or a tourist part of our economy for diversity, and also with tourism if you live here, there's more things for us to do to enjoy living here that would bring people to come here. But I see that as a real opportunity. I expect that because of this COVID, that Corpus is going to be having a lot more people visiting Corpus for tourism, for the vacation getaway. Because as I realized when I went out on Padre Island a couple of months ago, I had no worry about getting home. A 30-minute drive and I'm home. Didn't have to worry about planes or long traffics or isolation. The nicest thing when I was out there a couple of days later, I went into a place of a government place, and they asked me, well, have you been outside Nueces County? I said, no. And I think there's a lot of value in internal, in building up our tourism out on the island. So I'm very positive. I don't have the restrictions. Your infrastructure out there is pretty good compared to every place else in Corpus. You asked about what's the thing I'd want to try to do the first year relative to the island. Well, I want to come down to safety is a big deal in my line of work. And one of the things I noticed about the island, you have only one escape route, or we call it egress. When hurricanes come, you have that one bridge. It's been expanded, it's nice. But as you get more development out there, you're gonna need more than one means of escape if a hurricane starts coming. And I've heard there's talk about having a second bridge out to around Yorktown or somewhere up in there out to the island as a second means of escape for hurricanes. And I'm kind of gung-ho about being sure people have a means to escape when hurricanes come. So one of the things I would do is at least try to get that second bridge or a profile for escape for a hurricane a little bit higher profile in City Hall and in the planning. I don't see it as something immediate that we would want to get done. I'm talking 10, 15 years from now, something like that. But by then, hopefully we'll have a lot more tourist industry out there by then. I'm done.
Well, thank you. Man, I wish we were able to all be together. I would, because it would be great to engage in a live conversation. You guys are you are all making terrific points. All right, Frank, you're next. Frank Arriaga.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so the question is what would be the single most important thing I would do for the island? And the answer is to work on the TERS renewal. You know, there's a lot of great projects that, you know, the bridge, the second bridge, egress, that's a great idea. I think it needs to happen also. But there are a lot of projects that we can get started and going on now. There's a lot of great island input. There are a lot of people that do great work that are very involved in planning. You know, we have ISAC and you know, the Owners Association. In spite of everything that's going on, you know, the root of, you know, the core purpose of that organization is to provide some direction and provide an avenue for the islanders to be heard. As an islander, I will be present and responsive to the things that the island needs. And that's why I think TERS renewal is important. It allows us to look at a lot of ideas and look at ways that we can reinvest in the island with a funding source to go with it, right? Not just a list of things we want to do. Hey, here's a list of things we want to do with a way that we can pay for them. This allows us to make projects, we can prioritize them, and we can establish, most importantly, a maintenance avenue for Packery Channel, the dredging of Packery Channel, which has been ignored. So I think that if we renew the TERS, it's going to give us that opportunity to have the discussions on how we can best reinvest all the tax dollars that we are paying out here back into the island so that we can reap that tenfold, you know, return on investment that somebody else mentioned in the most strategic way possible. And, you know, we do that by working together. I'm here. You can come knock on my door. You know, if it's midnight, just be careful. The kids are going to want to, you know, draw on you or something like that. But, you know, we just need to be here and work together. And I will work for the island towards making sure that we reinvest strategically.
All right, thank you very much. Patricia Pena Noyola, you are next.
Well, we are all talking about the tourism and everything that one of the most beautiful focal points of our city brings to this community. But I'm not sure that the residents of the island want to have a whole lot of tourism and people coming in, because with all of the tourism, there is a consequence to having that much tourism. We have a higher crime rate. We've got a lot of other things that are consequences of having that. I do support the TERS renewal and taking that funding and opening up that dialogue with the citizens of the island and finding out what it is that they feel is important and what is their hot topics that need to be addressed first, and then go from there. I remember when we were bringing Schlitterbahn, there was a lot of dialogue. There was a lot of people who weren't very happy and a lot of concern about the traffic and the congestion that it was going to develop out there. And those are issues that we had to address. And so this time I would like to take it back and have some deadlines. We need some deadlines and we need some results for the things that we want to happen out there. I don't understand why things are taking so long. Why are we not finished with the Packery Channel project? Why is the bridge not complete? I don't understand why things are taking so long. I understand there's permitting processes and everything like that, but I do think that we need to have some deadlines. But my first vision is to make sure that we move forward with the TERS renewal, that we open that dialogue, we listen to the people of the island and make things happen that way. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Deanna Michelle King.
I am here.
All right, you are on. What's
All
your
right,
number one thing for the island?
Well, first of all, the island brings tourists, and tourists bring money. And so that means they bring money into the city that usually stays within the city. And that's really important. And so what we need to do with the island is make sure that it's clean. I hear there's problems with illegal dumping there. And so my solution is we need to get more enforcement and code employees for that section. We actually probably need that for the whole city of Corpus Christi, where they're around the whole city, but importantly in the island, because we need to keep those areas clean. That's when a lot of tourists go to, and they don't want to be in an area that is dirty. They want to see something clean, and most overall, y'all are, that's a pretty clean section of Corpus Christi. But we need to continue to keep it that way. And also, other people have mentioned about the Park 22 bridge. Yes, we need to get that completed. We need to get actually things done timely in the whole city of Corpus Christi. We got too many projects going on right now. We need to get to a point where we fix things and then we maintain them. We're too busy trying to do other projects and taking on new projects, which costing the taxpayers more money. And instead of taking that money and fixing and maintaining that what we have, we should do that within the whole city. But as far as the island, we definitely need to have more law enforcement out there. I mean, we're going to have tourists come in, of course, during the pandemic. We don't have that many people coming in, but when we get past that, we are going to need more officers out there, and we need to find within the budget to have more police officers out there. I understand the current city council is working on hiring more officers, but we're always at a slow pace with everything. And I think the people of Corpus Christi want things done in a timely manner, and they want their opinions and voices heard, and especially in the island. I mean, we want to keep that area clean, most definitely. So I really appreciate y'all again letting me voice my opinion about this. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, I'm gonna let me make a mark on my paper here so I can figure out where we are. You know, you have been raising some points here about appreciation of things that need to be done and funding, or the length of time it takes for things to get done. So I'd like to actually come back to that. So for the people, as we move forward, if you want to incorporate this into your answer, that would be great, because you're hitting on something that is going to be a question later on. I'm going to reclaim a little bit of time here. So, I mean, why is it that, so in addition to like, what's the number one thing that you want to achieve that's going to have a positive impact for the island? You know, how do you pay for it, or those things that need to be important? We need to improve like our timely performance. I mean, why do you think that happens? Because I've been doing this for, you know, 8 years now, and every cycle it's men and women just like yourselves who are very passionate and committed, and you know, I think we make progress, but still you have to be persistent and you have to be patient, because the Park Road 22 bridge is just like an excellent example of, we got very close and then, you know, something happened. Mostly it just got more expensive. So actually keep thinking about how you keep things from getting more expensive as time passes, and we'll be all set. But talk about that. What is it that you think, in your experience and observations, all, you know, make things so take so long? All right. So so John Martinez, if you could kind of put that angle in there. And what I'm going to do, the reason I made a mark on my paper is that for the people who answered previously, you know, kind of like raise your hand if you want to add, you know, back in. We'll go back to you guys, and I'll work through the random order. So we'll go back, we'll finish this, and then we'll go back. Okay. So, and I'll try to make a note of who's raising their hand, Liz and Frank. Okay. So for right now, John, you've got it.
Okay.
Questions
So
to you.
thank you. You know, so the island is a very unique place. Like it was said earlier, the money that we invest in the island comes back, I think, 5 times what goes in. And so the island has to be a priority for the city council, because developing the island helps the entire city. I envision that we will have development now over on the Lake Padre area that has been waiting for so long now with the bridge being completed. I think we're going to see some other development around there. That's going to increase our tax base. So that things like that by itself are going to bring millions of dollars into the city that can be used for some of these projects. Like Frank said, I think that renewing the TERS is a priority for the city council to come in. And also the safety issue. We talked about additional officers, but I think that it's time now for the city to consider putting a substation out there. You know, the hospital district has a building out there that it's not using that I think would be an ideal location for it. They've been looking for something to go in there. And I think that that would be a prime spot to have a police substation that could serve the island in that area. As far as finding the money for these things, you know, that's the hard part, right? Is finding the money to be able to do these things. We have to look at the budget, and we have to find programs. We have to find things that either aren't performing as they are, aren't doing well, or we're not getting the bang for the buck. You know, if they're not good programs and we're spending money on them, we need to cut those programs. We also need to look at other cost-saving measures. I've looked at studies of cities that have started turning their fleet vehicles into more fuel-efficient vehicles. And these types of things have saved cities millions of dollars over time. So, you know, I think we just need to look at things like that, that not only bring in additional income, but save us money in other areas so that we can divert this money back into good programs and into the island where we know that that money will come back even more.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you very much. All right, Michael Hunter, you're next.
All right, thank you. As for, so I guess we're breaking this into 2 parts: vision for the island and the number one thing that we can do to make it better. Well, the island's vision's been, if we pay close attention, we don't really have to pay that close attention because you make it so well known out there. The island's always been very vocal on what it wants, and they've always played a big part and a big role and seeing to it that their public officials pay attention to them, which, to be honest, y'all do it better than any other section of the city. And a lot of different areas of the city could learn from y'all from doing it. So with that being said, y'all have a lot of different things that are going on out there that are great. A lot of people have mentioned travel and tourism, Pack Rate Channel, Park Road 22 bridge, though, I want to focus on. That was passed 15, 20 years ago on a bond issuance, but y'all never got it. It was never paid for. You never got it done. So what did we do to go back to finally get this thing going? We had to look in different areas of the city and different funding mechanisms, combine all these separate funding mechanisms together in order to get this thing completed. What is it going to bring? It's going to bring a lot of economic development that is not just going to, when you have this kind of economic development out there, it's going to beautify your area. Not that y'all need it much more, because it is so beautiful out there, but it is going to contribute to the beauty. I mean, we're talking about a potential extra marina, a new boatway through the canals, more living, another hotel. That's what I'd like to focus on. That's the number one thing I'd like to achieve is Park Road 22 bridge. And not only that, but it's going to relieve a lot of the stress of the flooding issues y'all have along that road. And that's all I got.
All right, well, thank you. Mike Pusley, you are up. Why do things take so long and cost so much?
Sorry, I have
Apply to your favorite thing you want to do for us.
I have to put my, can you hear me? I have to put my glasses on where I can see the little button.
I hear you.
Well, listen, we all know that the reason why projects get more expensive is because they get delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And so that's what we have to focus on. And I want to go back to Pack Rate Channel just a minute. As I said, I visited there recently. There are some severe issues there. If we don't attack those issues and get it fixed very soon, then that's going to go from being maybe a $10 or $12 million project to a $25 million project. And then the funding gets to where it's completely out of sight for everybody. But if you've not been out there recently, on the north side of Pack Rate Channel, there where you've got that nice sidewalk and the concrete pavilions, the water is now beginning to erode underneath because the concrete mat is collapsed. And so now the sidewalk and the pavement's beginning to collapse into the channel. So that's going to continue to be a problem. So we can no longer just keep talking about that project. We've got to go find the funding. We've got to make it a priority and we've got to get it fixed. So one of the things that I want to do at the city, and I have told other groups this, at the county, over the 9 years I was there, one of the things that we did is looked at discretionary spending in our budget. And you won't find a line item in a government budget that says discretionary spending, but trust me, it's there. So over the 9 years I was there, we took $50 million out of our county budget, and some of it we used to reduce the tax rate, but a lot of it we used to put into programs that were more worthwhile than where they were being used. And so those are that's one of the things I want to do. But we have to make funding a priority. The TERS is a no-brainer. I'm a big supporter of the TERS. We've got several of them in the city of Corpus Christi. I brought the TERS to the Commissioner's Court that we now have for downtown Corpus Christi. And they're just revenue generators and good funding mechanisms to help with projects that you want to do. So we need to renew that, but we need to make things priority, their priority. But I don't want to get in the business of government telling the island what they need to do. Y'all have a great committee out there that works together. Your ISET group can come together with the POA and whoever, and you bring recommendations to the city council. And then it is our responsibility to try to work the problems, find the funding, and make the projects happen. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I will provide the leadership to do that when necessary, and I will help be your voice. I'm running at large, but I work very well with your current city council member that represents that area, and whoever that ends up being after the election. I will commit to you that I will work with them to help them with the island projects to get them done. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so for the people who answered previously before I had my bright idea, I have Liz Perez, Larry White, and Frank Arriaga, who I saw their hands raised. Anybody else? Patricia, Brian, all right. So we're just gonna go back, okay. All right, so we'll go back to the beginning. So you, Brian, were first. Go ahead and just give us, 30 seconds on why things take so long and what we need to do, what your idea is to like move them along.
Well, I do have to agree with a lot of what they've said. As far as the TERS, that's a no-brainer. The reason why I brought it up earlier, it was something that's coming up. So and those kind of things, those kind of mechanisms for spending for economic development is a must. Again, we talked about the gem of the water and being the nice beaches that we do have. We just need to capitalize on those kinds of things. The safety would come into place after that. I mean, the substation isn't a bad idea. That's actually a great idea. But again, we need to get the officers up the amount. It's important that we fund our officers, or public safety would get a enhancement so that you can actually have the safety out there and make sure that our citizens out on the island are well watched. I plan to champion some type of, the funding's already available a lot of times. And I have to go back to being a council member prior, that I know how to look at that budget and know how to prioritize things. And I think it's important we prioritize within our budget without costing taxpayer more money, but just actually get the things done that we need to get done. So I'm gung ho about finishing projects. I think it's important.
Great. Yeah, thank you. All right, Liz, 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to add on the, the issue of, getting things done in a timely manner. I didn't touch a lot about like what I do now, but I do help manage a firm, a pretty large firm, law firm. And one of the things I'm very good at is organizing, prioritizing, and also putting emphasis on the sense of urgency when it comes to projects. So if there is a project that has been lagging and lagging and lagging behind, and the more that it is lagging behind, the more expensive it is getting, to me, that just automatically common sense means we need to move it up in the priority and light a fire under the group that we're working with whomever is on the council at that time. So I'm very much a proponent of working together and also placing a sense of urgency where it is desperately needed.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, Larry, 30 seconds. Unmute, please. Larry, you're muted. I'll let you reclaim your time.
Every project I've been on has been on time, on budget. And I have a good understanding of what the problem is with these government contracts. Rule number one, you don't start a project until all money is available in hand. Rule number two is who's ever doing the project better have a realistic timing and cost value. I've seen projects for government, they've been very optimistic or too optimistic in timing and budgets. And the problem is once they get the contract, there's really no consequence. In industry, you overrun a budget grossly or you don't start up on time, you get fired. And the problem you have with government contracts is there's really no consequence to the contractor if they overrun or don't complete on time. Done.
All right, great, thank you. Let's see, who's next? Frank Arriaga, you're up. 30
Thank
seconds.
you. So why does it take so long? Well, part of the reason that things take so long is because in some cases there's just mismanagement of the street. An example is the street user fee that was collected for a whole year, and then the funds sat there unappropriated and not being spent. So the taxpayers agreed to pay a fee, the city collected it, and then they didn't actually put it into use. So we need to make sure we have people in there that are paying attention to these kinds of things so that we get things done. Number one. As far as how do we pay for things, one, currently we support the current city manager because I think he's doing a great job. You know, they just last week they announced $56,000 in savings by eliminating cell phones that hadn't been used. They made capital investments in equipment that are going to allow us to fix roads smarter, more efficiently, and prevent us from having to repair them and replace them completely. So those types of efficiency measures are the things that we need to be looking at. Line item budgeting, you know, all that is great. But the key is put people in office, get the right people on the bus that are going to pay attention to this stuff so that things don't fall through the crack.
Larry, now you've got me doing it. That was unfair. I'm just teasing. All right. Well, thanks, Frank. Patricia, I think you had your hand up as well.
Yes, as a former builder and developer, I understand the delays that the city departments can cause because we have a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians. The other issue that we have out there is we need to make sure that we hire contractors that are experienced in the field of getting the job done and experience in the type of work that we need done out there. This is probably not going to be in great favor with a lot of people, but the truth is there needs to be a lot more micromanaging with some of these projects that are going on. And we need to hire experienced contractors that know what they're doing and can get it done in a timely manner. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. And Deanna, I know you kind of actually were the one that said stuff that made this idea pop in my head, but I'll give you a chance if you want to just like take 15 seconds to maybe make your point one more time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I kind of agree. I agree with everyone. What the problem is that when we're contracting out work, first of all, we're not even doing proper research on these people that we're contracting work out on. It seems like we're just handing money over to individuals and hoping that they get it done. Just like I'm going to address real quickly the high water bills that we had gotten years ago. We had contracted out these people and we paid them, the city paid them $13 million for this water software that was supposed to to be the betterment of our billing, for our billing system, so it can get out quicker and be more accurate. And what turns out we spent $13 million on a software program that actually had a glitch in it. And it had a glitch in it because it wasn't researched properly. It wasn't tested properly. And that seems like the things that's going around here in Corpus Christi. We don't research who we're contracting out, and there's no accountability. Once we give them the money, we can't recoup that money back. And that's what happened with this water soft bill program. You know, we tried to get them to come back to explain why it wasn't working. They didn't even have to come back to explain because they had already fulfilled their contract. And that's one of the main reasons and main problems that we're having in Corpus Christi is that we need to look at these contracts better.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for indulging me. And that we're going to make up time right now because you've already hit on this, but this is repeatedly. So this is going to be, I think, a one-word answer. But if you feel compelled to explain, then you can do so for like 30 seconds. So the question is, what's your position on the TERS 2 extension? Because that is coming due, but you've all done your homework. So I'm going to run through the names. And if you can say, yes, we're for it. And I think a lot of you have already done that. Then we'll just like get this on the record and move on.
Who did you call? I'm sorry.
Larry White.
Okay.
You're up, buddy.
You cut off for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm for the extension.
All right, great. Thank you. Brian Rosas.
Let's hope you can hear me. Yes, of course. Most
All right,
definitely.
extend it. Frank Arriaga.
As the person that introduced it to the conversation, I absolutely support it.
Thank you. Patricia.
Absolutely. Let's get it done.
Thank you. John Garcia.
Yes, I think that is very critical. Yes.
Thank you. Deanna.
The answer is yes, and yes, and yes.
Thank you. Liz Perez.
Yes, 100%.
John Martinez.
Yes.
Michael Hunter.
Yes.
And Mike Pusley.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mike, I honest, this is a completely random on the internet formulated
Sure,
list. And I'm sitting here going, how come Mike Pusley is always the last one? It's going to end, but it
Saving
ends
the
right
best
now.
for last.
Well, we'll let the voters decide, I guess, right? All right. Well, thank you very much. All right, we're back on track. This next question here is, again, something that many of you have brought up already. It's clear that you've done your homework and you're aware of things that are on Islanders' minds. This next question is, what's your position on short-term rentals? And so by that, where I'm talking about VRBO or Airbnb or something like that, right? So, we are a tourist area and people have properties and they want to use them for some vacation rental and maybe some income. There are some issues with that. There are people that live here. It's a community, and there are limits on what some people want to have in terms of short stay kind of vacation rental properties. So there's a debate there, and so this is the question: what is your position on short-term rentals, and what do you see as kind of the biggest issue within the short-term rental conversation that we've been having in the city today? All right, and we're going to start off with Liz Perez.
I think that short-term rentals is already here. It's already being done. I think that the thing about that is that it should be regulated. I don't know if that's the right word, but there should be some, rules, imposed, because I can see the point of the homeowners or the property owners who would like to allow their properties to be a short-term rental. But I can also see maybe the concerns of the residents. While it is nice to have a nice beachfront property to visit, it also, with that also comes some other things, maybe house parties or just some types of behaviors that are, not welcome in the neighborhood. So I think there has to be some kind of watch over, the rules of having your property be, a short-term rental, and make sure that those get implemented so that way you maintain a level of safety and a level that is good for all residents and not just the property owners who do want to have their properties as short-term rentals. So, I can see all sides of it. I just feel that we really do need to take into consideration the residents and neighbors' concerns.
All right, thank you. Deanna Michelle King, you are next.
Yes, sir. I like short-term rentals, but I'm kind of like what Liz agree with Liz. The property owners, they should have a right to rent out their homes to other people, but then the neighbors, they have concerns because they don't know who's coming in and out through these rental properties. And so I think what needs to happen is the residents of the island needs to get together and they get to decide how it should be, to be honest. Because I like Liga said, I see both sides. You know, if I have a property, I think I should have the right to rent it out. But at the same time, I have neighbors, and the neighbors are concerned. They don't know who's renting these properties, you know, and so they don't know if it's going to be additional crime happening through these rentals, which is always possible, because a lot of people, they come out of state, they come from out of town, and so I think it does need to be regulated at some point. But I think that should be something like possibly like a meeting, you know, with the people within the island to see how this and get their opinions as far as how it should go. So that's what I think on the issue.
All right, thank you. John Martinez.
Yeah, you know, short-term rentals. I mean, it's a thing that's here. It's a thing that we have to deal with, and it's a thing that is not only affecting locally but statewide. And as we discussed in another forum, there's actually been a Texas Supreme Court case that addresses short-term rentals and the ability of homeowners associations to restrict them. And the law isn't real favorable for the neighbors, right? So what we have to do is we've got to deal with what we have. It's the short-term rentals are here. People are going to do them. So what we need resources for the other homeowners, resources that give them some kind of recourse if there is abuse in the system. You know, I think probably 90%, 95% of the people that use the short-term rentals are good renters. You know, but you're going to have a problem percentage that abuse the system and abuse the property. And I think that we have to have some kind of resource for the property owners or for neighbors to be able to address that, whether that's a hotline they can call to report inappropriate behavior at some of these rentals or something else. You know, it's kind of a work in progress. So we see as issues arise, as the abuses kind of come to light, how we need to address them. But I think it is something that we need to look at carefully and address.
All right, thank you. Brian.
You know, the question's been asked before, and I think it's one of those things that I wouldn't be so much upset being regulated on short-term rentals, but it'd have to be a process that was like at least fair and affordable to all participants. You know, we talked about a registration process, and I think the use of code enforcement to enforce regulations like that would help out. But again, we'd need the officers to definitely get that. But the short-term rentals are good, but the long-term rental regulations, you know, again, it's just a really catch-22. I think it makes renters ensure that all the landlords keep up the property and having a nice place so people allow them to live, and it takes ownership and actually exposes people to the area and heightens the chance of return and a possible residence here. So I think it's a good thing all the way around as far as the short term. But again, proper infrastructure and services, I think, to go a lot to that. But you know, again, the process would help the field of the hotels and motels. It would create a competition that ultimately can drive more tourism and direct effect on our local economy. So I do have to say that it's a good thing and it's here, but you know, I wouldn't want it so much regulated, but it'd have to have some kind of fair and non-partial type of process, I think, so that we can keep an eye on it.
All right, thank you. Michael. Position on
Couldn't find the
short-term
mute
rentals.
button. Yeah, I'm for short-term rentals, and I have been in the past. I mean, the biggest concern the citizens have had on short-term rentals, and there are groups that do not like this, but the biggest issues have been 10 cars are parked outside for a one-bedroom rental, and we can't allow that to happen. Code enforcement's who we're going to have to work with to make sure that doesn't happen. I don't think that's happened on the island, but other areas throughout the city have had these issues. But yeah, I'm pro-business. I'm pro-short-term rental. I think that if we can bring more tax dollars into our community by allowing these sorts of things, and so be it. So yeah, I'm pro-short-term rental. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Larry White, you're next.
I remembered for short-term rentals, having used HomeAway a lot. It's a really great opportunity to go on vacation. So I'm very pro. However, the problem of 10 cars and a big party at the house next door does bother me. And I'm sure most people in residential areas. But short-term rentals are here based on the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court ruling. And what I would see is Corpus Christi wanting to have some kind of regulation for short-term rentals, some regulations to avoid the 10 cars out in the front party all night in a residential area, but also to be fair to our tourist industry of hotels, to be sure that the short-term rentals, they are the equivalent of a hotel room, and they're competing with hotels, which is fine, but they shouldn't be excluded from the hot tax. And I would see short-term rentals should be taxed the same way as motels or hotels. But it's here, it's a good thing, I like it, but it does need to be regulated.
All right, thank you very much. Mike Pusley, you're up. And not last.
Thank you. Well, listen, obviously short-term rentals is something that's here and we have to deal with it. I see both sides of the issue. I serve as the chairperson for the Architectural Control Committee for the neighborhood that I live in. And so I understand that people move to subdivisions that have deed restrictions, that have HOAs, and they appreciate those rules. But I think the city needs to do two things. The first thing, and I'm going to talk specifically about Padre Island. I think this is a perfect opportunity for ISAC and the POA and the subdivision to come together and to come up with their own rules and regulations that they bring to the city of Corpus Christi for us to pass. I don't think the city government needs to get in the business of telling you how to live your life. So that's number one. And number two, the city needs to provide the enforcement to make sure that those rules are being adhered to. So if you have a subdivision where you say short-term rentals are going to be permitted and you're going to restrict the number of cars that can be there, you're going to restrict the number of days that they can rent. I took my whole family to Winter Park, Colorado for Thanksgiving last year. And the house that we rented, you had to rent it for 7 days minimum. You could only have 3 cars in the parking lot. I mean, so you have those restrictions. So it's encompassing on the city of Corpus Christi to make sure we're enforcing those rules and regulations. But we have to design those rules and regulations to fit within the parameters of the Texas Supreme Court ruling. Now that ruling was narrow at this point. My guess, there's probably going to be many more challenges as we go down the road. So we're going to have to make sure that we make things adjustable. Port Aransas has already come up with their ideal of how to control it. But I think Padre Island and their organizations and committees need to come together and bring a solution to the city for us to approve. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Patricia, you are next.
Well, first of all, I agree that we have to uphold what has been ruled and mandated by our state. I do feel that we need to work with the citizens, make sure that they understand any rules and regulations with regard to short-term rentals. With short-term rentals, there's some other consequences that are going to come with that. And again, having a whole bunch of cars parked, there's got to be some regulation to that rental itself. But what I would want to suggest is that we take a look at other areas, other cities that have been doing this for a while and work with those associations and find out what it is that has worked very well in those particular communities. I don't necessarily want to reinvent the wheel if that is working in another area where short-term rentals has been very beneficial, not only for the homeowners, but for the people that are traveling to that area. So I really do want to promote looking at other communities that have made it work, where there has been less crime, less consequences, and less negative impact to the people who actually own these homes.
All right, thank you very much. Frank Arriaga.
Well, fortunately, on the island, we're unlike some places. We actually have some experience in this, right? Because half of the island actually already has zoning that allows for this type of development. The short answer is that I support it. We actually own a property in an approved area, and have it available on Airbnb. There are some companies that are paying hot taxes currently, so that's not something that's missing completely. I would encourage every company that allows people to put them on that platform to do the same. Um, I think this is really just an issue of handling it with zoning. Basically, if you don't have the zoning that you need and you want to do the project, you should have to go and request it. There's a process that already exists. If there's, you have to post notices, and then your neighbors have the opportunity to provide comment and public input. And so I think that we need to not deal with the problem. We need to embrace it as a potential solution, a potential source of additional revenue, and a reason to increase investment in the areas and bring in more tax dollars. Um, and just be pragmatic about it. I mean, it's 2020. It's a part of every community that's growing. Austin charges, I believe, 6% hot tax on the short-term rentals. Corpus Christi charges 9% with the companies that actually do it. And so we've thought about this. We've done this. We've done some research. I think it's just a matter of making sure that people understand what the avenues are in place to, and where the zoning is currently. And then reconcile it with the strategic plan, right? ISAC, as others mentioned, is a key player. The Owners Association is a key player. And the residents, of course, should have the most say in this. Property owners need to be protected. Code enforcement is the key there. We set some ground rules, address the parking, address occupancy per room, and we find people that break the rules. Quality of place is important, and the city needs to take it seriously when the residents say that there's an encumbrance on that. So let's do it. Let's get it done, but let's be responsible and not discourage people from making investments that will help us pay for the things that we need.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we're making great time. We're in the home stretch, and this next one I'm going to laugh because I'm like, I can't believe that we're actually throwing this one out there, but we're going to do it because it's a hot topic, and I want to, you have all obviously done your homework. There isn't really a specific question. It's a topic, and I want you to talk about, what you know about this topic and kind of where you are. It's not a position, yes or no kind of thing. There are a lot of trade-offs here and a lot of considerations. The topic is desalination. And if you want to wrap in desalination in the context of a larger water supply kind of response, you are certainly welcome to do that. So this is not, like I said, it's not for or against, but if you are for or against, it would be great to hear a little bit why you are for or against it, what you think about it relative to other water supplies, how do you pay for it, what you're thinking about as a at-large council member, because it's a real live topic right today, and you'll be dealing with it. Yeah.
You missed John Garcia on the last question.
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, then you guys have time to think. John, you're up. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, not a problem. You saved the best for last. That's
all right.
Well, me being in the tourism industry, I think I'm 100% forward for the short-term rentals in the island. I think that is pretty huge. It creates positive economic impact. It increases tourism in our city, and then opportunity for visitors to stay in hotels, condos, Airbnb, and vacation rentals. And as long as they follow state guidelines and city, I think now this is the modern times, and this is opportunity for everyone to stay anywhere they want to stay, but as long as they follow the state guidelines and the city policies. But like I said, this is awesome opportunity for the city and for tourism for Corpus Christi.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And again, my apologies for for missing you on that last question. All right. So DSAL. First up, Frank Arriaga. We'll go 2 minutes and hopefully that'll be enough.
Yeah. So desal is, I would like to start by saying that I think that long-term water is a very important, long-term water solution is a very important issue for our city. One, because water is jobs. If you look at the big industries that have come into town, and some might argue that they're not the ideal industries. And you know what? I'm not here to demonize the types of jobs that are coming in that are paying people $100,000 a year, because quite frankly, we've never seen those kind of jobs in my lifetime. And the economic benefit from having that kind of development is paramount to us improving the community and the quality of place. So desal plays a large role in that, or a long-term water solution plays a large role in that, because it shows these corporations and these people that are looking to relocate jobs that we're serious about making sure that they're going to have access to the water that they need to bring the jobs. And the key here is going to be really to us making sure that we negotiate a deal that keeps the ratepayer in mind. There are ways to do this. As far as do I believe it's the best solution? I believe it's the best solution from what I see. I think that groundwater and surface water are obviously linked to each other. They're not independent of each other, and they have their challenges. They're on the tail end of their technology lifespan, and it's only going to get more expensive to produce water in that manner. One, because as the water table drops, the water gets dirtier, the sediment at the bottom gets harder to process, the filtration becomes more expensive, and that that poses its risk. You have people, the farmers and everybody that tap their water, they have water wells. Well, what happens when the water table drops and now they got to dig deeper? So you have people that are going to have issues dealing with that. So you deal with that, and then you consider desal, where it's come. 18 years ago is when the conversation started in Corpus Christi. This is not a new issue. And anybody that's saying that it's new and that we don't have any information on it, I'm sorry, but my position is that you just haven't been paying enough attention. It's there. We understand that the costs have come down significantly. We know that it is something that if we locate it properly and we do our diligence with respect to managing the debt service, it can be an excellent solution for us. Speaking of how we pay for it, there's a surcharge that's already in place for this. The surcharge exists on the industrial rate payers. It's a 25 cents per gallon they use. We can make that mandatory, number one. Most of them already have volunteered to pay it. We can make it mandatory, number one. It covers 2/3 of the debt service already, right now. If we were to do the desal deal where the city builds it, owns it, and allows a professional company that's all that they do to operate it. In my opinion, with the two large users coming on board, Steel Dynamics and Exxon, in a couple of years to help shore up the demand and help pay for the rest of it, I think that deal becomes a lot more financially plausible, and it becomes a good deal for the city of Corpus Christi in the long run. We're at the end of the pipeline when it comes to the water. Everybody that taps in above us is going to get first rights, and this is us changing our position as being reactionary to being the producers. And now 15, 20, 30 years down the road, when all these other communities are done with, are fighting for that groundwater, we'll be able to call them and say, hey, we've got plenty of water here for you. We'll be happy to sell it to you at outside the city limit rates, and use that money to put it back into our lines and our maintenance system, so that the city of Corpus Christi are the ones that benefit ultimately.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, thank you very much, Frank. All right, Brian Rosas, you're next.
Okay, well, the coastal bend is already attracting industry. That's a given because of the port dredging and the new bridge project. It's going to allow larger vessels. I mean, out with the port. The key to economic growth right now is to attract those future residents here in Corpus Christi and instead of the surrounding area. So I think I support a reliable water source as long as it's affordable to the citizens. The desal is a viable option at this point. I think it is important that we do have a viable source of water. Water is everything at this point. With everything that coming in, the more attraction, the bigger tax base we can make, and it'll take the burden off the taxpayers of the current residents. So we're not only attracting new residents, new citizens, new tourists for that matter, expand the tax base. It'll help relieve a lot of the services on our utility bills, especially. Again, I talk about this all the time because it's a improvement in quality of life than what we have now. I think it's important that we all be gung-ho about something like this, because again, it will put us on the map where we are already, but it's important that we become that viable source of water so that people are attracted to us and that we don't end up dry like anything else, because the conservation is a good thing, but not always a good thing is the best thing. So again, as long as it doesn't really affect our tax dollars, I think it's important that we do have a viable source of water. I do totally agree with it.
All right, thank you very much. Larry White, you are next.
Desalination. I want to make a few corrections on some statements. Corpus Christi first started looking at desalination in 1995. I know that because I was on the Citizens Advisory Council that was put together to take a look at it for the first time. It was very enlightening, but back in 1995, to me, it was very obvious the time for desal has not come. Today, desalination, the time has come for us to at least get the permits for a desal unit in place. So if we're hit with a bad drought, as occurred in 85 and 2004, we can get something up and running within 2 years. Obviously, I am pro the desal unit, but I am also very cautious on how we proceed. There are 3 locations that are being looked at, different options that are being looked at. And I'm very cautious because one of the things in yesterday's city council meeting, they talked about the desalinization unit in Santa Barbara, California. It was a small comment. I'm familiar with it because I toured the facilities right after they built it and learned a lot of information. But the city of Santa Barbara ended up spending a lot of millions of dollars that ended up being wasted on how they approached it. And I'm very concerned to make sure that doesn't happen to Corpus Christi, because I can see how things can get a little bit out of hand. They are looking at 3 sites. The Inner Harbor Canal, because of my engineering and environmental background, I have some questions. I won't say it's a bad idea, but I do have some questions that I have asked and requested information for. But it is something we're going to eventually need, whether it's 3 years from now or 10 years from now. We're eventually going to need desalination in Corpus Christi to sustain our economy.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, thank you, Larry. All right, Patricia, you're next.
Okay, some technical difficulties there. I am in support of desal. I do believe that there's a lot of unanswered questions. One of the topics that we talked about earlier and I commented on is getting into some projects and awarding some of these projects out to people who are not versed in getting these projects completed. That is my big concern about desal. I don't think that the city of Corpus should get into a project and try to take it on themselves. If we're going to do something, then we hire the people to get it done and get it done right the first time. So I'm all about promoting. I do know that water is a hot commodity right now, and it could generate a significant resource of funds for the city. I think the planning is great, but I just want to make sure that a project like this, quite an undertaking such as this, is going to be handled and completed in a timely manner and completed by professionals who know what they're doing.
All right, thank you very much. John Martinez, you are next.
Yeah, securing a reliable source of water for our future is key to our growth and development. So we have to do that. Of all the options, it seems like desal is the one that has the most upside to it. It gives us the most potential water to use. gives us the ability to sell or to use for ourselves or use for industry. It's definitely the way that we're going to have to go at some point. I will tell you that I am not in favor of how the city went through its handling of trying to get the desal. I think that there are a lot of other ways that it could have been done. This is another thing where we can look at to see where there's no cooperation and no planning between the different facets of our government. Independently from the city, the port has been working on the same thing. They've done the permitting already. They paid for the permitting. They've done the environmental studies. They've found the locations. You know, doing this all separately from the city, and the city spending millions of dollars to do things that have already been done. This is just another example of us needing to work together to find the solutions. And desal is something that I think we need to do, that we need to work together, and that if we do, we can find a solution that is good for the taxpayer and the ratepayer and for industry.
All right, thank you very much. Michael Hunter.
So desal, you know, a lot of the people that have been talking have hit on some key points, and desal has been a focused issue / topic of discussion for a long time in our area. And in fact, it's been a serious topic of discussion for the last 6 to 8 years. When we were first discussing desalination, the surcharge that was agreed upon industry and some of the different government officials that were there was, I was actually part of the group that initiated that process. I called it insurance water at the time because I was in the insurance industry, because you pay a premium for the water to guarantee that you have it later. But there's a few things that have happened that make desal a lot better option now than it has been in the past. One, a few years ago, the state of Texas passed a law that you can now sell water up north. That has never been in effect before. Water always flowed downstream. So if you can sell water up north, and we have the option to not just sell our water to the industry, make sure that our residents don't have to go through what they went through 5, 6, 7 years ago with the drought, so that they can water their lawns when they want. Industry doesn't have to curtail. Then going through with desal gives us that option. Another really important issue on desalination is that we need to be the first to do it in the state of Texas, because if we are, then we're going to have a lot of different people looking at us and increasing that awareness of industry moving down here and jobs and growth, and showing people that we are not hindered by different water sources, that we can now, I guess this has been stated a few times, but that we can expand just from our ocean. We have an unlimited supply of water. It's reliable, and it shows people that we're not closed in, that we can grow in all directions. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael. And I'm sorry, I was distracted by a little chat bubble that popped up. All right, Deanna, Michelle King, you're next.
Thank you. And I'm glad you asked this question. Water is really important to life, but I have a problem with the desal plant. We just got sued by the Environmental Protection Agency for the backwash of the sewer going into our Corpus Christi Bay. We were fined $1.1 million and given a certain amount of time to fix those lines. And now we want to add a desal plant on top of that, where it can has a possibility of dumping more toxins in the water, which is will harm fish and other eco life. And I don't understand why they would want to be possibly sued by the EPA again. And another problem is, Alice, we no longer have to sell water to Alice anymore because they're looking at a desal plant. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. But my main problem is the health issues. I mean, we can't keep dumping toxins into the bay and then possibly getting sued again by EPA. It doesn't make any sense to me to keep taking on projects and new projects that can be harmful immediately and then cost us more money in the long run. Yes, it may bring more jobs. It may bring more, a bigger economy, more businesses down here. But the long-term effects can be devastating to the city financial wise. It doesn't make sense to do a desal plant. We need to look at other options for water supply. We really do. I don't like the dumping of the toxins into the water. I mean, that's an environmental problem. And I don't want to have this issue again, being sued by the EPA for dumping toxins into our bay. And so that's the way I feel on that issue.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Mike Pusley, you're next.
Well, thank you, Bob. This is a very important question. And a while ago, Bob, you said if you had a goal to get something accomplished in your first 2 years as city council person, what would that be? And solving our water problem is a #1 issue for me. It is the key to our growth in this community. And so it's not only key for the city, but it's really key for Padre Island and everybody. I wrote an op-ed piece that was published in the Island Moon back in February or March of this year. And you're welcome to go look at that. But I'll try to summarize what I said. #1, I'm a big supporter of the desalinization solution. It's the only thing that makes sense for us now. I do not agree with the way the city is approaching it. I don't think we need to own and operate a desal plant. Governments never own or operate anything very well. We all know that. So we need to be looking at a solution that's more attuned to what the city of Alice is doing. And that is they're going out and they've hired a company that's an expert in desal plants. They build them, they own them, they operate them, they already do the engineering, they do the permitting, everything. Now, I will say the city is going to have to include the Port of Corpus Christi in this solution. The city can't do this as a separate entity. The port industries have to be a part of this solution, or the ratepayers, the mom and pop ratepayers in this city are going to get stuck with a huge water bill at the end of the day. So desal is the way to go. As far as environmental issues, as you all know, Todd Hunter 5 or 6 years ago hosted a summit on desalinization and the water issues in Texas here in Corpus Christi. And Bob, I think you were even there. But the first guy who testified was the meteorologist expert for this part of the country. And the first thing he said was, it's never going to rain enough to sustain the growth that we're seeing in South Texas. So we have to come up with a different option. Another person who testified was the guy who runs the environmental department out at Corpus Christi State, or I'm sorry, I'm going back in years, Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And he said that if you take the brine disposal offshore, you actually see a halo effect offshore where things get better around where the brine is being disposed. So there are solutions in place. I just don't agree with the way the city's doing it. I think there's a better way to do it, but this will be a high priority because look, if you do the math right now, our water resources are stretched to the limit. If we get into a drought situation here in the next 2 years, we're going to be in big trouble because we have promised water to industries that are now under construction. And we have an obligation to provide that water. And they're paying us the upcharge for that. So they don't care where we get it. At the end of the day, they've paid their bill and they want their water. So this is going to be something the city's going to have to be very serious about. It's going to have to be a priority. And I hope to be able to provide the leadership to come up with a solution here in the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. John Garcia, you are next.
Yes, I'm 100% for the desal. I think if we get the community's input, I think that's one thing that our current city council we needed to do regarding transparency. For let the citizens decide what they want, because as a city, we're the one in the hole that are spending the monies, which the desal will provide water security for the future generations amid growing climate concerns, but then also too with economic growth in our city, but then also too it will create, like what Michael Hunter said, meaning it would be one of the first cities in Texas to have it. I think that would be a big, huge economic boom for Corpus Christi to have, but then also to with the climate changes in the world and us being on the coast, I think that would be a big, huge impact for Corpus Christi.
All right, great. Thank you very much. And Liz Perez.
Thank you. I was last this time, Mike. So, do I advocate for more jobs? Of course I do. Do I understand that we need a reliable water source? I do understand that as well. Do I agree with the current desalination plan that the city is going with? No. I do agree with needing to consult with experts who know what they're doing in this area. I think it's a big, complex issue. I don't know that I have enough time to go into the reasons why I agree with things, the reasons why I don't agree with things. If anybody wants to ask me any questions outside of this forum, I am more than welcome to answer and go into more depth. But I think it is a big, complex issue, too big for the city government to try to do themselves. I agree that there needs to be more experts' hands on this than just the city government. And I think it's a way more complex issue than just saying yes or no. But at the end of the day, that is my answer. I do not agree with the current desalination plan that the city is going forward with.
All right, well, thank you. And as a public service announcement to all of our viewers out there, in addition to the city council meeting that was held yesterday, where there were a number of providers that gave a presentation to city council, that's available online. The city is going to be hosting a series of town hall meetings on desalinization and the current, how we got to where we are. Go to their website. It's on the events calendar, the blue section on the main page, cctexas.com. And just quickly, those town halls will be on the 6th, the 8th, the 12th, the 14th of October. The details are on the city's website. I would encourage you all to attend because, as everybody pointed out, it's a very important, very complex issue. And the community should definitely know what's going on there. All right. Oh, thank you very much, everybody. I know that it's been a long session. We're in the very last part of it. We're going to be wrapping up right now. So basically 1 minute for everybody to make their last pitch and tell us and all of our viewers why we should vote for you. And we will start with Patricia.
First of all, thank you to everyone who has been very instrumental in putting this forum together. I appreciate your time that it has taken. So thank you very much for that. My name is Patricia Peña-Noyola. I'm running for City Council candidate at large, and I am number 10 on the ballot. I ask for your help and your support, and I ask that every single voter out there, please take your time, do the research, look into every single candidate and find out, what it is that they want and how hard that they want to work for you. Our job as a public elected official is to listen to the voters and to comply with their wants and their desires of what is important to them and making sure that things come to fruition. We do need to be very proactive in looking into all of the existing work orders and making sure that some of those jobs get done. We need to hire the right people. And this might hurt some people's feelings, but you know what? We really do need to have some micromanagement with city staff. Thank you. I again ask for you for your vote. And early voting starts October 13th. Thank you.
All right, and thank you very much for joining us this evening. Frank Arriaga.
Hi, yes. So thank you for everybody. New projects mean growth. And it's a reality of the community we live in. We're going to have to make decisions on things, or we're going to maintain the status quo and continue to see the same Corpus Christi. Really quickly on desal, just to clear something up, I wanted to add that the key to a good solution there is ownership of the water rights. And I don't want that to get overlooked, because the other solutions don't have that, don't afford us that. And the reality is that making a deal with a company, private company that owns the water rights, is not good for the ratepayer in the long run, because they can charge us whatever they want when the contract is over. As a local resident, as a fisherman, as somebody who uses the fisheries weekly, I'm somebody that will do the research, ask the tough questions, and make sure that we provide an avenue for reinvestment into the fishery and ecosystem from the companies that are going to be involved in this process. We can work with the federal legislatures, the state legislators. There are ways to make sure that overall we're handling the environment closely. As an island resident, I humbly ask for your vote. I'm somebody that you can come and talk to. Come knock on my door. You'll see me at the beach. You'll see me at the PIPA meetings when they get going, whether they're Zoom or in person. And I look forward to working for all of Corpus Christi, and namely our home, the island.
Thank you very much, Frank. John Garcia.
Oh, I'm John Garcia, number 13 on the ballot, running for city council at large. You know, with the island being our huge destination for our city, I mean, I know y'all been real busy this year because of the COVID-19, and it's been pretty busy for us in the tourism industry as well as, like I referenced earlier. I think without our beaches, I don't know where, you know, tourism, you know, in our city would be without our beaches. But y'all play a big, huge part in our city, and I know we do get people or visitors that come into our beaches and are messy and leave trash there. But I think if we would come up with an idea with the island residents to stop that, because I know that's one big, huge issue that we have, you know, clean our beaches. But I bring a lot to the table, being in the tourism industry, being a community leader, and then being a small business owner. Like I said, with the food truck festivals, we'll be back in 2021, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the island residents like I saw you on 2017 at Slitterbond. And I humbly ask for your vote, and number 13 on the ballot. And all the candidates that are running for city council at large, they're all good people. Everyone has different backgrounds, and you know, we're all there to make Corpus Christi a good place to stay and live, and also for visitors to come enjoy our beaches and go back, and tell others to come back to our beaches and have a great time. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Mike Pusley. 1 minute wrap up.
Thank you, Bob, and you did a great job tonight, so thank you very much. Mine again is Mike Pusley. I'm number 2 on the ballot for your at-large candidates. I have served over 34 years in this community doing public service of one kind or another. I served for 9 years as county commissioner here in Nueces County. I served for 6 years on the Corpus Christi Planning Commission. I served 4 years on the Corpus Christi Stormwater Advisory Committee. And then before that, 9 years as a member of the Toloso Midway Board of Trustees. I'm currently a member of the board of the Texas State Aquarium. So I have a lot of experience in working inside governments. And it takes a while to learn how to do that. And what I would like to sell to you today is the fact I don't need much of a learning curve. When I get to the city, I'm going to hit the ground running. Many times it takes people a couple of years to get up to speed to learn how to read a government budget, to learn how to work with staff members and all of that. I've worked with city staff. We did projects together when I was at the county. So I understand how the process works. This is a full-time job for me. I'm retired, but this will be my main focus in life every day to make sure that we're making this city a better place for you and your families. I humbly ask for your support. Again, my name is Mike Pusley. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Larry, you are up. 1 minute closing, please.
Okay. For the citizens of Corpus Christi, what I ask is that you check me out at www.votelarrywhite.com, because I've put a lot of work into that webpage to show who and what I am. I also ask that you check out all the other candidates on who and what they are, and make a determination of those who are politicians and those who are public servants. With all the problems we are seeing nationally and locally, we need more public servants in elected office than politicians. I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Larry. You caught me by surprise. My cursor was out of position. All right, Liz Perez, you're next. 1 minute closing, please.
Thank you. Thank you again for hosting this forum for all of us. I am Liz Perez. I am humbly asking for your vote. I am a born, raised, educated here in Corpus Christi. It's a city I love. It's a love for the city that I want to pass on. At the end of the day, I do believe strongly that our city council works for the people. So my door is always open, even now. If you go to my website, liz4cc.com, all my contact information is there. You can contact me, my personal cell phone, my email, my Facebook page. You can message me anytime. I am more than willing to be open and honest about where I stand on whatever issues or concerns you have. And even if elected, that will never change. You can always, I will always keep open that line of communication. And I thank you again for having me included tonight. And I hope to see you guys at the polls on early voting starting October 13th.
Thank you very much, Liz. And thank you for joining us this evening. Michael Hunter, you're next. 1 minute closing, please.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having us and giving this opportunity to come, I guess, or to show ourselves from Zoom. It's very difficult during these times, and we really appreciate the opportunity. Well, I'm Michael Hunter. I'm running for City Council at large. I would really appreciate y'all's vote, and I want to continue doing what we've been doing for the past few years, or at least what I've been doing. And I'd like to finish some things at the city, including Park Road 22 bridge. That's been a big project, and I want to see it through. Sometimes at the city, we say we're going to do something, doesn't always happen, but if you put me there, I'm going to be looking to make sure things get completed on the island. I've always been a fan of the island and a friend. So if y'all could, if I could ask for y'all's vote and support, I'd really appreciate it. Thank y'all, and y'all have a great day or night.
Thank you very much, Michael. Deanna Michelle King, 1 minute closing, please.
Again, yes, we thank you all for having us on tonight and this evening. Actually, it was a pleasure to be on here. I really had fun with this forum. But again, my name is Deanna Michelle King. I'm running for City Council at large, and I'm number 12 on the ballot. And what I want to leave with the viewers is my parents, they taught me the value of hard work. And not only the value of hard work, they taught me to respect people and their voices and their concerns. I'm going to tell you a quick story here. I remember in high school when I did a aptitude test, and it basically tells you what are you going to be when you get older. And so mine came out as a city worker. And at this point, I don't think it's ironic at this point. I want to be a city worker. I want to work for the people. I want to give the people a voice. I want to listen to their concerns and then implement it into something. That's where what's going on with our city right now. There's a disconnect between city officials and the residents, and I think they're getting tired of it. And it's evident based upon how many people that are running for office. And I'm just asking that y'all vote for me, and y'all have a good evening.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for joining us. Brian Rosas, 1 minute closing, please.
Yes, excuse me. Yes, thank you. Again, I'm Brian Rosas, number 11 on the ballot. Again, I want to thank y'all for having me, the IUPAC especially. Again, I'm probably endorsed by the CCPOA. If elected, I would, address public safety. I'd enforce a better systematic approach in funding of some of these needs and services. I have a strong voting record in favor of the citizens of Corpus Christi. I have wealth of knowledge, and I'm one of the only other persons with the council experience. My voting record toward the progress on the island has always been a prosperous one. So I think I humbly ask for your vote, and I hope that you look at the other candidates and hopefully you find out that I am a viable candidate for what you're wanting to get accomplished and what you've been accomplishing, and that I can sustain that so that we could definitely move to a better quality of life here in Corpus Christi and keep the momentum going. So I appreciate it, and I humbly ask for your support. Number 11, Brian Rosas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thanks for joining us. And John Martinez, 1 minute closing, please.
Thank you. My name is John Martinez, and I'm number 6 on the ballot. Corpus Christi is at a crossroads right now. The decisions that this council makes in the next 2 years, as you've seen by the questions, are things that are going to affect the city of Corpus Christi for generations to come. So it's important that we have a council that has the experience to be able to do what needs to be done. Not only that has the experience, but that is able to bring people together to work together, because city council is just that. It's a council of individuals. There's no one individual that can make anything happen on the city by themselves. They need to work together with the other council members and the mayor. As part of what I do, I'm a certified mediator, and I bring people together to come up with solutions, and I'll bring that to the city council. So early voting starts October 13th. Election day is November 3rd. Vote for John Martinez, and together we can make Corpus Christi a better place. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. And again, once again, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Candidates, I will tell you what, it was a long session. I appreciate you hanging in there. There are a lot of you, and we covered a lot of ground. Particularly impressed with your motivation, your preparation, your commitment, and the thoughtfulness that you've clearly put into researching the issues, doing your homework, and you're putting into your campaign. So thank you very much. I wish you all good luck in the elections. And once again, on behalf of the Island United PAC and for myself personally, I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight. I had a really great time, and I hope you found it enjoyable and productive as well. And with that, I'll hand it over to David to close us out. Good night, everybody.
We learned one.
Good night.
We have an alibi. Yes. What?
Would
Mike?
you tell us again how the voting takes place and what the period of time is for the membership? to
David will cover that. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said before, we're doing an instant runoff ballot. So those people that are interested in voting, go to the IUPAC site, the website, and you'll find the ballot. Please submit your name. We compare it against the voting rolls to make sure you are a registered voter. And then we will do our vote count between now and Monday at noon. Actually, Monday at noon is when we'll do the vote count. We're going to be collecting all the votes. You can drop off ballots at the HOA office here on the island. I believe there's also an email ballot that'll go out that they'll verify, and you can resubmit to us. And Monday we'll know. And the instant runoff allows us to pick multiple people. And so as things go on, you can read through it. It's a pretty simple process. But first of all, we learned one thing tonight. I'm a horrible timekeeper. The reason for that is obvious. You guys are fantastic. Great job with everything you did. You guys were well prepared. I hate to cut people off, especially with the messages you guys are bringing to the table. So thank you so much. Thank you for your patience and your time. You guys were great. And good luck to all of you. And you'll hear from us, I'm assuming, sometime early next week on what the island has chosen as the people that will endorse. So if you have any questions or need anything, please feel free to contact me personally, any one of the Island PAC members. They'd be happy to help out. With that, I want to thank you all very much, and thank you all at home. Get out and vote. These people work hard for you. You need to make your voice heard and vote for all of who you want to vote for. We appreciate everything they've done. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Good night, everybody.
Thank
you
you.
so very
Thank you.
much. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Making,
Thanks, Bob,
we're
Dan,
gonna
and
have
David.
tough choices
Thank you.
to make. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.